Good morning, everyone. It's good to see all you here today. Let me introduce myself. My name is Luan, and I'm 15 years old. I'm here to talk about a very exotic topic that relate to a very famous historical figures that I will tell you later. So, now I just want to ask a question. So, is there anyone of you know what the term Tsar means? Anyone? Okay, I will explain the term Tsar. It basically means it's another term for king, but Tsar only used during the Russian Empire, and the Russia called their king Tsar. So I will talk about a very famous Tsar in the world, in the history of the world, and more specific, the Russian history. And his name is Nicholas II. I think none of you guys know, so I will talk about him. Right before his coronation, he once said, "I am not yet ready to be Tsar, and I know nothing about ruling business." So it's funny that he don't know anything about ruling, and he will be the king of Russia. And eventually, this man is the last Tsar of the Russian Empire. And this talk, I will show you how he responsible for the fall of the Russian Empire. I divide my presentation into three time periods. Three. The first is the Russo-Japanese War. The second is the World War I. And the last is the execution of Nicholas II and his family. And this talk will be very interesting to those who love history, like me, and those who want to learn more about historical figures. And I think it's also interesting to those to students who will take world history course in the school in the future. So now, in this part of the talk, I will discuss about one of the main reasons that led to the fall of the Russian Empire. And the one who is responsible for this is, of course, Nicholas II. So he has bring his empire into a very devastating war with the Empire of Japan. And this war is called Russo-Japanese War. This basically a struggle, a conflict between these two huge empires over the region of Manchuria during 8th February 1904 to the 5th September 1905. So Nicholas II has used a lot of resources, a lot of soldiers. For specific, he has used 50,000 of Russian soldiers have died in this war, and this led to a very humiliated defeated by the Japanese. And also he has used a lot of resources, as I say before. By March 1905, his empire has come to the verge of bankrupt because he has used mostly all of the money, and his empire has forced to surrender because they have no money left to fight this war. Nicholas II has all the responsibility to this defeat. His navy force is humiliated by the Japanese, and it's somewhat lead to the fall of the Russian Empire. So, after the Russo-Japanese War, another fatal decision made by Nicholas II once again put his country into a new war. And this war called the World War I, and it's very serious because it's a World War I. And another term for World War I is the First Great War. So, in August 1914, by a hope of preventing war in the German Empire, Tsar Nicholas has ordered general mobilizations of his forces against the Austria border. Mobilization means activation, like he called out full forces to push against the Austria border because Austria and German are allied. They allied together. And this fatal move accidentally put Austria and Germany into a full-scale military alert. And they consider this as a declaration of war. So, over years, historians have a lot of evidence to prove that this decision by Nicholas II has triggered the First Great War. So, Tsar Nicholas II has mobilized over 1 million soldiers for this, and more than millions men had fought for Russian in this great war. But since other empire has new technologies, new weapons, and these keep pounding on the Russian soldiers, which eventually lead to casualty from 5 to 10 million men. Russia had lost 5 to 10 million men in this devastating war. After the war come the Russian famine in 1921. Famine is just like no food and people get hungry and they die. And this has caused a disturbance in the economy of Russian Empire. So this critical fatal decision lead to the downfall of Russian Empire. And the one who is responsible for this is Nicholas II. Now, I will talk about the last time period, which is the execution of Tsar Nicholas II and his family. In 17 July 1918, the rebel groups Bolshevik, led by Lenin, has captured Tsar Nicholas II and his family to the basement for execution. The entire family had been shot by the rebel groups, and it's considered that no one has survived. This become a very mystery because many historians has tried to unfold this mystery. Like they're trying to find out that is there anyone else survived, because no witness had ever retell the story of that terrible night. Finally, there's evidence to prove that all the members of his family has been shot in that fatal day. According to Sergei Myronenko, he's like a member of Russian archive, and he said that none of the Romanov were safe on that terrible night. Romanov is the last name of Tsar Nicholas II. Historians then had reached the conclusion that the emperor and his family had condemned death sentence by the Euro-Soviet of Worker Deputy, and that is the Bolshevik rebel groups. And the emperor has shown his surprise, like he was surprised by this death sentence. He don't think that he get the death sentence, and he showed that by his stunned ask, why me? What happened to me? And then so after that, the entire family had been shot, and no one alive. Well, this brings me to the end of my presentation. Before I stop, let me go over the key point, the main 3 time period that I has mentioned before. First, I talk about Russo-Japanese War. Second, I talk about how Nicholas II has triggered World War I. And last, I talk about the execution of Nicholas II and his family. All of this time period, for me, I think that prove that Nicholas II has all the responsibilities to the downfall of the Russian Empire. So, now it's a question time. I would very, very pleased to hear question from you guys or hear new ideas from you guys about this topic. So, feel free to speak up. Okay, lastly, to recall the quote that I had mentioned before from Nicholas II saying that I'm not yet ready to be Tsar and I know nothing about ruling business. Well, I think he really, really mean it. He not ready yet.